If you found a swarm of bees near your home or your property, what would you do? Well, we don't want you to reach for the insect spray or call pest control.
Yeah, that's right. Bees play a huge role in growing the food that we eat.
Yeah.
So to protect them, you have to call the expert. So we got to bring in Dermot Jones. He's the owner of Jones Family Bee Removal. Dermot, thanks so much for taking some time out and talking to us. This is an important topic, and we need to know why it's so important to remove bees without hurting them.
Well, they're about 98% responsible for all our food pollination, even down to milk. So if they don't pollinate the wheat and grass, the cows don't have anything to eat. Therefore, we won't have any milk. So that's the first thing. Without bees, we don't eat. The second thing is it's very important because once the bees are in your structure, your damage is pretty much done. And getting rid of the bees in the wrong way will introduce other pests and cause other problems later on down the line that you'll have to deal with. And in the long run, costs you a whole lot more money to get it repaired and removed.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. I love your shirt though, Dermot. I gotta say, the Bee Whisperer. That is a really great shirt. So when you do whisper and you get the bees to come along with you, where exactly do you move them? What is a safe place for bees?
In somebody's backyard, urban beekeeper or backyard beekeeper, as you will, commercial beekeeper. There's several places that I put my bees when I go and collect them. I fill my yard here at home in the backyard. Once I am at capacity, I'm also part of a beekeepers association out here. I will put out a posting for any backyard beekeepers who may need bees, and we just go down the list.
Okay, so Dermot, I'm just so curious. How do you get into this? Like, how do you become an expert on safe bee removal?
A bee whisperer, if you will.
How do you become a bee whisperer?
I'll give you the short version. As a kid, I used to take things apart and put it back together, so I get bored easy. I've had a lot of hobbies. And a hobby prior to this, one day I came home and my wife was like, "You need to do something else." And a friend of mine kept talking about bees for about 6 months every weekend after that. So I finally decided to order Michael Bush's Practical Beekeeping book, read that, looked at a bunch of YouTube videos, and then found Mount Diablo Beekeepers Association down here in California, joined that. And here I am 11 years later.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show.
Yes.
And this show is all about climate. So what is the connection with bees and climate, or how are they affected by it?
They're usually more active during spring and summertime, and they really get active during the summertime. The warmer the weather, the more active they are. And it also depends on the foliage, you know, what's going on, what trees are blooming, what flowers are blooming. They're going to go collect the nectar, which they turn into honey, and then collect the pollen, which they pack and eat as food as well. So
Now, Dermot, you mentioned that once the bees are in your structure, the damage is already done. So are there things that you can do to prevent the bees from getting into your structure, like in the first place? How do they end up in places they shouldn't? Can we prevent them from, say, ending up on our patio when we don't want them there?
patios are usually difficult. If it's shaded enough and it has a big enough cavity, they're basically going to go in there if they have a big enough crack to go in and create a colony. As far as the house, make sure that everything is sealed properly. Your air gap vents, where the attic is at, make sure that the wire mesh is not big enough for them to just fly right in. Make sure there's no cracks, imperfections, or basically just shoddy building work. A lot of the stuff out here is just shoddy building work where the inspector missed something and the builder didn't seal something properly, and the bees go right in.
Yeah. Oh, we only got a minute left, so I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the climate. What do you see for the future of bees? Do you think we'll have more bees because the climate is warming? And, you know, what do you see for the future 50 years from now?
Bees may take over. We got an abundance of jobs out here. I mean, I did 59 removals last year, and I'm on my way to doubling that this year.
All right, Dermont Jones from the Jones Family Bee Removal, the bee whisperer
There we go.
himself joining us today. So that could be interesting. There could be more bees instead of, some animals that will die off with the change in the climate.
Yeah, and I think it depend on what kind of bee it is too. So a lot of different factors
It could
going
be.
in there.